Welcome everybody for part two of tonight's live stream, and it's in regards to the truth, what people need to know, so you can make up your own mind as to what's going on in the world today. So, anyways, it's really important. As you've seen, a lot of the countries have joined BRICS, and this is going to cause chaos. We don't know what's going to be happening. Everybody needs to be on the lookout to, and be wide awake because we might be thrown into wars. And actually, Canada is standing on the wrong side, I think, because Canada should not be interfering. Canada should be neutral and not taking any sides between Israel and Palestine. And that's where we should be today, is not taking any sides, because first of all, we need to take care of our own country, and we need to make sure that people understand, with given that all of the a lot of countries who are at war right now, we have a lot of their people. We have Ukrainians, we have Iranians, we have people from India. There's a whole debacle about that, what's going on with our country. So, again, there's a lot of infighting in between Palestinians and the people, the Zionists here in Canada. So I want to make sure that you understood that there's a difference between the Jews and the Zionists. Okay. And because we really need to be aware of what's going on, not to just believe what we hear, what we see. And because in 2017, over 20,000 rabbis and Jewish people met in New York City. And I was really awakened to that fact back in 2017, and I did some research, and I was amazed to see what I was seeing. And because here in Canada we need decolonization, so does Israel and Palestine, and they need to accept a two. They're lucky to accept to have the choice of making two states between Palestine and Israel, because really, the Israeli encampments that started there, that was a colonization. The UK, well, actually, the Jews took Israel from the UK because it was the UK and France that actually had control of the Ottoman Empire, if you remember well. So if you go back into history, you look at the history, and then you'll see the truth. And then when you listen to the rabbis, you'll hear the truth. And you need to hear the truth, because a lot of the Jewish people, they'll say, if we tell them the truth, they'll say, "Oh, you're anti-Semitic." Well, no, telling the truth is not being anti-Semitic; it's just telling the truth, and we need to stick to the truth, because now the truth is being shoved aside to make sure we don't hurt people's feelings with the truth. So we have to lie or be ignorant or act, like, oh my God, if I say the truth, they're going to be insulted. Well, to hell with yous. Okay? If you've got hurt feelings, tough, because the truth is going to prevail, and the truth is what's going to save this country. And the fact that we need to decolonize from the crown, and we need to demand our referendums that we did not get in 1982. Eventually, I'll be able to get to the lawyers who will finally listen, and to the judges, and if not, another country. So the reason why I'm here tonight is because I'm pissed. I'm mad as hell. And I'm sick of trying to kiss ass to every Canadian citizen to become a member, to support the CPU. And, the members that we have now, thank you, thank you, thank you for having faith in us and at least sticking it out. Because this is not just, oh, well, I'll join for 1 year and then take off. No, this, if you want your power, you need to stick it out through thick and thin. It doesn't matter what. Egos need to be set aside. And we are all the human race. We need to get along, and we need to fix this problem, because we're going to be entering into a worldwide war. And who's going to get hit here? Our country. So I'm worried about the kids. I'm worried about the kids, not just here, but in Palestine, in Israel, because the Israelis are being used by a bunch of um, Zionist nuts, okay, who pretend those aren't really Zionists. Okay, they're just people who infiltrated, and to be able to take over uh, the area so that they could attack all of the other countries around. Israel was placed there on purpose. This was a war strategy long ago. Okay, so now you're going to hear it from the rabbis. You're going to hear it directly from everybody. Okay, I don't want my son. No, Sherry, you're right. A draft in Canada, I would tell him to go straight to hell. Okay, whether it's Poilievre or Trudeau or anybody else, if they're trying to get our children to go and fight these wars, they can go straight to hell. Okay, tell them I said so. So, anyways, over my dead body. But the reason why I'm coming to you is because we don't know how long we're going to be alive. Okay, especially me with my health. What you don't kind of see right now is I'm on oxygen, and I can't make it to protests or things like that. And I never know, I just finished getting, I was really, really sick. So I wanted to come to you and say, hey, don't rely on the CPU to be there forever, because at the end of the month, I'm going to stop trying to get members to join the CPU. Right now, if you want to join the CPU, you got to do it now. Otherwise, at the end of the month, we are shutting down the website for new memberships. The members that we have now, we want to keep, and we're going to work with, and we're going to do things differently. And those will be our actually our exclusive membership, our exclusive members, because we might as well just keep working with the team we've got now than trying to waste time trying to convince people to join the CPU, to stand with it, because as long as people don't understand what the CPU is about, we're wasting our time. And right now, we have no more time. Okay, we don't have time to fool around. So I've made that decision. And again, because of my health, I can't guarantee anything. So, hey, the way, if I'm waiting for Canadians, I'm going to die first. Okay. And which is too bad, because, like I said, my health is not going to, I'm living on borrowed time, and I never know what can happen from one day to the next. Some days I can't even walk 5 paces without the oxygen and whatnot. So right now I'm on steroids, so at least that I can speak. But I'm at the end of my steroid time there, so who knows what's going to happen next. But anyways, our focus is going to be on our members, the ones who truly want to learn, who truly want to get it, because eventually, if I'm no longer here, it'll be up to everybody else to do this, because decolonization is extremely important. It's our right. It was already done in 1982. We just need to finalize it. The Canadian citizens have a right to a referendum, and the Indigenous peoples on their side. And that's what we need to get done so that we can have the power over our government, because that power is ours. And that's what I've been explaining. Okay. And we just need to get the lawyers and the judges and somebody else, or everybody, to listen, because that's the way out. And that's the legal way out. It keeps us safe. And that's our priority, is keeping everybody safe and doing everything legally. So right now, we've got a bunch of politicians who are siding with Israel, even Poilievre. And I showed that earlier on part 1. So Monica says, referendum when and now? Well, first of all, the people don't have the power to do a referendum on our own in that sense. But our convention of consent is like a referendum. So you sign your convention of consent, and then we need to have a country recognize it. So I've shown you all of the proof. I did some of the videos, the slides that I made. The proof is all there of all of our rights, what the UK determined, and what the Canadian government found out in 1982 was that, yes, they still needed 2 referendums, and that had to happen by 1997, and it never did. So we still have that right. So we need to take that. And that's what we've been trying to explain to people, but it didn't register what decolonization meant. Because everybody's so used to thinking, oh, we're free and we're independent. No, we're not. Okay. So go read, go get educated. The stuff is still going to be on our website. It's just that after October 31st, you will no longer be able to become a member of the CPU, a paid member of the CPU, where we're working directly with our members. Okay. I'm going to stop chasing rainbows and unicorns. So I've had enough. After 7 years of the CPU, and we're not any more ahead than we were 7 years ago. It's enough. So I'm going to try and look for another way and make sure that our members know what to do if something happens, and depending on where this goes. So now I'm going to do a screen share, and I want you to hear it for yourself, so that when you're talking about Israel and Palestine and seeing what's happening in our country with our own people being divided because of this, it needs to stop. And you're going to hear it directly from the people who know best, the Jewish people. Okay, so I'm going to go and turn this on.
But there were those who were not proud. There were those who were ashamed.
Oh, hang on. We're going to start from the beginning. Okay, these were all the Jewish people in the hall that you see there.
Choshev Rabbonim, Rosh Hashivas, Tayra Yidden, members of the press, friends, and fellow protesters. We're assembled here this afternoon because the homeland of the Jewish people is under attack. The homeland of the Jewish people is currently attacked by vile enemies who would see it destroyed. And we're here this evening to speak up for the defense of the homeland and to protect it from those who seek its destruction. The homeland of the Jewish people is the Torah HaKadoshah. Jews have no nationality and no nation state because, unlike all the other umos who exist because of a common land, language, or culture, we were a proud people, proud to be the custodian of the eternal book of books, proud to live our lives morally and in dignity and in conformance with the Ratzon Hashem. We had no aspirations to be great warriors, win Nobel Prizes or gold medals. We were proud to be pious, scholarly, and moral. We were proud to be Jews. When we prospered, we were proud, and when we were persecuted, we were proud. Especially when we were persecuted, we were proud, because then we were proud that we were not our persecutors. We were proud that we were the oppressed and not the oppressors. When we were persecuted, we thanked Hashem every day that we were prophets and not persecutors. But there were those who were not proud. There were those who were ashamed. They loved the lifestyle of the anti-Semites. They envied their power, their ruthlessness, their tanks and their planes. They were ashamed that a Jew is a Torah scholar and not a soldier. They were ashamed that Jews named their children Yisrael Meir, Velvel, or Yoeli, and not Nimrod or Omri. They were ashamed that the Jews would rather celebrate finishing a Masechta and not win a scholar championship, a soccer championship. They were ashamed that the Jews would rather invent a new pshat and a toisvis rather than a new form of martial arts. They looked at the Jew the same way the anti-Semite did. Ugly, despicable, weak, and shameful. They looked at this Jew the same way, if we could imagine, the way a gorilla would look at a Jew. Pale, weak, and worthless. They were Jewish versions of the anti-Semites. They hated Jewishness, and they hated Jews. They hated Judaism, but they could not live amongst the anti-Semites because the anti-Semites persecuted them too. Poor Koifrim. Whatever shall they do? Their solution was Zionism. Its goal, to destroy all that makes the Jews in their eyes so weak, so despised, to destroy all that makes the Jewish people so Jewish. They diagnosed what they called the Jewish problem and they decided that the source of the problem is Judaism, the religion itself. If only we could get rid of Judaism and be more like our persecutors, our lives would be so much better. But don't believe me about this. Let's give the Zionists a chance to speak for themselves. I quote from one of their founding fathers, a man whose version of Zionism is the dominant one in Israel today, Vladimir Jabotinsky Shein Rishoyim Yirkov. And I quote, "What is a Zionist?" This is what he said. To imagine what a Zionist is, you have to take a Yid and imagine the opposite, the exact opposite of a Yid. A Yid is ugly, sickly, and has no hadras ponim. Therefore, a Zionist has to be beautiful, have massive shoulders, vigorous movements, and shades of bright color. Because a Jew is despised, the Hebrew must be charming. Because the Jew is disgusting to everybody, the Hebrew should be lovable. The Jew is submissive, the Hebrew has to know how to command. Jewishness was a destructive doctrine that needed to be eradicated, and the Zionists did their best to eradicate it. They wanted to repeal and replace Judaism, to replace religion with nationalism, to replace the Talmud with tanks, and to change the people of the book to the people of the bomb. So they obtained a state, and they declared this state to be the nation-state of the Jewish people. They created a language, Ivrit, and they decided it's the language of the Jewish people. They made an army, and they decided that this army is what defends the Jewish people. But the Jewish people have no state. We have no national language, and there is no army of the Jews. What they created is a statehood, but it doesn't possess any aspect of Jewishness or Judaism in any form or matter. The truth is that the state of Israel has as much to do with Judaism and Jewish identity as China or Korea does. They should stop calling themselves Israel and stop calling themselves a Jewish state, because those are lies. They can call themselves, if they want, Herzlstan, the nation-state of the Herzlstanis. Or they can call themselves the Canaanim if they want. They can call themselves whatever they want. But they are not Israel, and they are not the state of the Jews. For over 100 years, this assault on our identity has raged, and the Zionists have used many ways and means to repeal and replace Judaism. But the strongest weapon throughout the years that they've used was indoctrination, propaganda. And the strongest tool of propaganda is their army. The Israeli army is not merely a military organization. Israel set up its military to be an indoctrination camp for Zionist ideology. It's designed to be an educational institution, not merely to teach its recruits how to shoot, but to teach them how to be Zionists. Not how to of Zionism. Clean, refine, and purify the Jews of their, quote, foreign garbage. It sounds more like a rehab than an army to me, and indeed is a rehab. But what Israel's army wants to rehabilitate us from, we would give our lives to keep. The IDF Officers Training Manual was found to include lectures on the following topics. 1, what is Judaism? 2, is Judaism a religion, a way of life, or a constitution of a nation? 3, what is the identity of the Jewish people? What business does a military have to teach about religion? Imagine if the Belgian army, for example, were to teach its soldiers about Christianity or Islam, and tell them what your priests taught you about Christianity, what your imams taught you about Islam is all wrong. We in the army know what Christianity is. Who in the world would ever tolerate such a thing in an army? Every day they're beating up Jews. They come with their clenched fists and twisted faces, with their batons, on horseback and on foot. And they beat Jews and they hurt Jews. You know what? You could beat us, you could hurt us, you could put us in jail. Then you're dealing with Hashem. Domam loini Casey. But when you want to hurt the Torah, we draw a red line in the sand. And if need be, we draw that red line with our own blood. And to the state of Israel, I have advice. You have two paths in front of you. You can either rescind all the laws, the loopholes, the terms, and that shtick you have that forces the Jews to go through your indoctrination camps. Your second option is to build more jails, because you're going to need them.
Okay, so that was the first part. And I want to let you know that if the video freezes, please wait. It reconnects right away. So now we're going to do another share. And this one's about 5 minutes. And then we're going to get to the good stuff.